83 officially unsupported Macs now can run the brand new macOS 14 Sonoma due to the brand new version of the OpenCore Legacy Patcher. But let's find out if everything works in reality. And to test macOS Sonoma, I installed it on a Mac Pro 2012, a MacBook Pro 2012, a Mac Pro 2013 and a MacBook Air 2013, and I also tested Sonoma on an iMac 2011. And those of you who already subscribed my channel or seen the last video, that was quite impossible to run Sonoma on this old iMac with an OpenCore Legacy Patcher version before 1.0. But as you can see, it's running and it's working. But I have to tell you some other downsides and problems later in the video as well with that old Macs. But now let's have a look at the brand new version 1.0 of the OpenCore Legacy Patcher, its new features, bug fixes, and all the things the developers did to enable macOS Sonoma on unsupported Macs. Okay, so let's go briefly about the new features, the updates and the bug fixes of version 1.0.0 of the OpenCore Legacy Patcher. And here on the website you can see which 83 models the developers claim to enable macOS Sonoma on, and later in the video we will see if for an iMac 2011, MacBooks from 2012, Mac Pros from 2012 and from 2013, if that is completely true. But the first question is, how does it come that this one is version 1.0.0 when the last version was 0.6.8? And the answer is easy. If you go down here, they wrote that they now be following semantic versioning system. So what does that mean? That means with macOS 14.0.0, there is the OpenCore Legacy Patcher 1.0.0. When Apple will release macOS 14.1, one can expect an OpenCore Legacy Patcher 1.1. And if they maybe just release a security fix or a very tiny update and they call it 14.0.1, then, if it's necessary, the OpenCore Legacy Patcher 1.0.1 will be released, so you can always compare the version of the OpenCore Legacy Patcher directly to the version of the macOS that you're using. So, despite all the enabled Macs that version 1.0.0 now has, there is one main limitation that they write here, and that is the support for the T1 security chip. Apple dropped the support and only supports T2 security chips, but the T1 chip, for instance, is in the Touch Bar MacBook Pros from 2016 and 17, and the security chip is needed, for instance, to and encrypt your fingerprint with the Touch ID. So as the support is officially dropped, the developers could not enable or reintegrate that support for the T1 chip into the OpenCore Legacy Patcher, so that feature definitely won't work when you have a Touch Bar MacBook Pro 2016 or 17. There are some more graphic issues. You see the links down here. You can just click on that and go through the list, what the developers are all aware of, and later in the video I will show you if and what kind of graphic glitches or errors the very old Macs 2011 to 13 have, because when they work, you can expect that newer Macs will work even better. One more thing supporting the OpenCore Legacy Patcher. The developers are doing such a great job enabling so much old hardware, so much old Macs on the newest macOS that they really deserve your support. So I would really like to ask you to donate to the team so they can buy new hardware, or old hardware actually, and continue testing and developing that great Legacy Patcher and the OpenCore, so that we can all continue using our old Macs. But now let's do some real-world testing, and let's start with the Mac Pro 2012, the good old cheese grater. So this screen is connected to my Mac Pro cheese grater, and what can I tell? Sonoma with the OpenCore Legacy Patcher version 1.0 is running flawlessly. You can see here the website of Apple. If we go down here, all the videos run smooth. I do have an RX 580 graphic card in it, but that's quite easy to change, and I think a lot of you guys who still run the Mac Pro 2012 cheese grater have upgraded graphic card. By the way, it's a complete PC regular graphics card. It's not flashed, nothing. It works out of the box. So Safari is working. When we go to Apple TV and we want to see some trailers here, for instance, like Invasion, when you go on full screen, everything's running smooth and fine. There are no graphic glitches or something like that. You can go to the Maps app and you can see everything on the Maps app is working. There are no distortions, no artifacts, nothing. And the same, for instance, goes with the weather app. You can just enlarge the map. You can see all the precipitation coming in, the forecast here. You can start it. Everything is working as expected. One of the reasons for that is that we have full graphic acceleration. When we go to the VideoProc Converter, for instance, you can go to the settings and you can see if you have H264 or HEVC graphic acceleration. Both is capable of running 4K, so no problems at all running Sonoma on the Mac Pro. So now I switched to the Mac Pro 2013, the trash can, and here we have a problem. All owners of that Mac Pro know that there's only three kind of graphic cards that you can install in there, and that is the AMD FirePro 300, 500 or 700 series from 2013, which are only legacy metal capable. That's the official name for that. So officially this Mac can run Monterey, but not Ventura or Sonoma. When we go now to the VideoProc Converter and go to the settings, you can see that here there's no video acceleration possible, neither H264 nor HEVC. And due to that, there is a little issue with the graphic drivers. I can show you in the Maps app. Okay, when we go to Cupertino, for instance, you can see that all the names do have white surroundings. There is no transparency. And it's more obvious when we go to the satellite view. Now the text is white, but there are black boxes around it. But like for Mac using, when you go, for instance, to the Safari browser and you open up the Apple website, you can see that all those videos are running nicely. That works. And even when we go, for instance, to the Apple TV app, you can see that the movies just start playing. And when we go to a different movie, for instance, and the trailer starts and we go into full screen, everything is working. So these are really minor issues, but depending on what you want to do with that Mac Pro, like photo editing, video editing, something like that, you might end up with these old graphic cards not having that graphic acceleration you might need. So here it is, the MacBook Air 2013, and if you've seen my last video, I had some problems with the nightly build of the older OpenCore Legacy Patcher, that was version 069, with Apple TV. Because every time in Apple TV, when you went into, for instance, a trailer and switched to full screen mode, always when these controls disappeared, there was a green flash. As you can see now, these problems are gone, and I can tease you that is also with the MacBook Pro. Problems gone. Those graphic drivers are working as expected with Apple TV. another thing with this MacBook Air, since Ventura, since the first version of Ventura, was the weather app. The weather app was always either crashing or took like 4 or 5 minutes to update due to a bug in the graphic drivers. When you go down here, you see it's loading and now everything is here. And so I can say that the MacBook Air 2013 is working flawlessly with the OpenCore Legacy Patcher 1.0. The same should be for the Mac Mini, as it's the same hardware, you're just missing the screen and the keyboard. Wi-Fi is working, Bluetooth is working, graphic acceleration is working, and when we go into the VideoProc Converter to check graphic acceleration, you can see that H264 is available for 4K resolution. It's just missing HEVC. That codec is too new for these old graphic cards. So now let's check the MacBook Pro 2012, which even got more features since Ventura. So there it is, the MacBook Pro 2012, and the MacBook Pros normally have 2 graphic cards in there. There's the integrated graphic cards for the CPU, which is a 3rd generation Intel chip with an HD 4000, and it has an NVIDIA GT 650 that is an additional graphic chip that switches on when like heavy graphics are needed. So that made it the MacBook Pro compared to the MacBook Air. And in the older versions of the OpenCore Legacy Patcher, there was a problem, and I installed a little tool up here where I can switch the graphic cards. Right now it's just a desktop, so it uses the integrated Intel graphic card to save power and to save the battery. When I switched to a discrete graphic card, it has the GeForce GT 650M right now. With the old version, and I can show you that in from my old video, that all went purple and there were graphic distortions all over the place, so that switching didn't work. The NVIDIA drivers were some kind of buggy in the older versions because the desktop was not working. When I go to the Safari and we open the Apple website, still with the NVIDIA, what you can see is even with NVIDIA it's working flawlessly. When I scroll down here, you see the video of the iPhone, and I can just switch back to the integrated graphic card, and now there's an I for integrated, and this one is still working without any effects or distortions. So both graphic cards work with Safari and the desktop. There were some more problems here, for instance, with Apple TV. Also, Apple TV is using DRM content and video decompression. So this one right now is the integrated graphic card. And let's go, for instance, to a video here where we have a trailer with full screen. That is the Intel graphic card. And when the controls were gone, this one just went green. I can show you that from my old video. As you can see here, everything is working, and with the old drivers, when I switched to discrete graphic card and now it switched to the NVIDIA, either Apple TV crashed or the whole MacBook freezed. And here, when I go into full screen with NVIDIA, this one is working flawlessly. And when we go to the VideoProc Converter to check the hardware acceleration, it's nearly the same like with the MacBook Air 2013, but here you can see, as it's 1 year older, the NVIDIA GeForce GT 650 is only capable of H264 with ultra high definition UHD and not 4K. As well, no HEVC, that is too old for that codec, but it has graphic acceleration, and that makes this MacBook Pro also working flawlessly with macOS Sonoma. Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, maps, weather app, everything on both graphic cards. You can switch back and forth and video acceleration is also there. So this, like now 11-year-old hardware, is working with the latest macOS since the absolute great developers of the OpenCore Legacy Patcher. But now let's see 1 year older. So here it is, an iMac 2011 with no hardware upgrades. I know some of you already asked, yes, you can upgrade like the Wi-Fi Bluetooth module, and you also can upgrade the graphic card, but then you need the graphic card of a 2012 iMac, because otherwise it won't fit. You cannot just simply put a regular graphic card in there. And the first one that you might notice is that Bluetooth is not working. You cannot switch Bluetooth on, and so you cannot use any wireless keyboard or mouse or any Bluetooth features. That is the first big thing that is not working with that iMac, even though the developers claim that you can use Sonoma with an iMac 2008 and younger, up to 2018. That is a 2011 version. It doesn't work. The next thing that is not working, obviously, is the VideoProc Converter. When you check the hardware graphic video acceleration, they are both unavailable. No H264, no HEVC, same as with the MacPro 2013. This is also an AMD Radeon graphics card, like the AMD Fire Pro in the MacPro 2013. So maybe the developers can make those old graphic cards run with Sonoma in a later version of the OpenCore Legacy Patcher. Right now you don't have graphic acceleration. Next thing is that, for instance, in the Maps app you have just a blank screen. Even switching from Explore to Satellite mode, where it's just loading pictures and images, it's just black. So Maps doesn't work. Next thing that does not work is the weather app, because either you start the weather app and it shows up, but if you start scrolling, the weather app just freezes completely. This doesn't work. Okay, so we just have to quit the weather app. Sometimes it just pops up and quits instantly, so the weather app is not working either. What does work is when we go into the Safari on the Apple website, same as with all the Macs before, you can see that these videos work. When you scroll down here, you see the iPhone video running. Now you have to decide if that makes it worth running Sonoma on such an old iMac. No Bluetooth, and maybe or maybe not freezing when you play videos, non-working maps, freezing weather app. Maybe if I just start it again, it works right now. Let's check. No. When I start to scroll, it just freezes completely. To be honest, that is nothing that I would like to run Sonoma on. As I already told in all the other videos that you find here on my channel, I recommend Ventura and Sonoma on Macs starting 2012 earliest. If you have different experiences, just give me a comment below the video. If you maybe run Sonoma on a 2008 Mac Pro, iMac, MacBook, whatever, or 2009, 10, 11, and if that is working, or if you experience other flaws, other problems, just give us your feedback in the comments. If you haven't yet, I would recommend you subscribe to the channel and click the bell for notifications, and stay tuned next week. I'm trying to finish that video next week. There will be a completely reworked tutorial how to install macOS Sonoma with the new OpenCore Legacy Patcher on unsupported Macs. For now, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned. Bye bye.